primary ignition.
I'm just not the hero type, clearly.
What a piece of junk.
Enterprise, this is the captain.
I got a bad feeling about this.
It's all part of the plan.
Engage.
Welcome back to Podcast 2 for 1. I'm your host, Donovan Thompson, with my co-host,
Daniel Wingfield.
In today's episode 240 of Podcast 2 for 1, youtube.com/@2for1 studios. It's the best place to consume all the content. If you didn't know, listeners, let's be honest, you probably did not. We are sponsored by Kapow Comics, located at 4047 East Hill Avenue in Sherwood, Arkansas. They have comic books, collectibles, graphic novels, and of course, special guest appearances throughout the year.
Kapow.
Daniel's 240. We are in our penultimate destiny, is what we are right now.
That's right.
And I think there's no better episode to kind of do just you and I, because our next episode, 2 for 1, everyone, we'll have Dr. Bruce Hutchison back on to talk Back to the Future. It's a great last episode.
It is.
To go out on. And then 240, I think there's no better thing to talk about than the thing we started on, which is Star Wars. And so we've come full circle.
Wow.
And so I think 5.5 years ago, we were talking about Mandalorian.
Yep.
And then, of course, we were having the last Jedi debate, the last Jedi debate, and the Rise of Skywalker.
Yes.
And we've been through all these things like Star Wars Visions and talking about the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew, sorry. And I'm trying to think, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Book of Boba Fett. We've had a lot of different things. Yeah. Ahsoka, yeah. But there's been one property that has been a bright light amongst these 240 episodes, and it's Andor. And I think the one thing we've been really waiting for I think over 2 years now is Andor season 2. And here we are. We're talking the first 9 episodes.
Yep.
9 episodes of
Andor
3 season
more,
2. Right? We got 3 more, so we have like one more pod, so to speak, one more year of the canon. And yeah, so we made it here, Daniel, and real quick, my big thoughts is it's I like Jedi and Sith and lightsabers, and I like the mythology and the real kind of simplistic idea of good versus evil, and just kind of like pull on the heartstrings and the fantasy aspect of it. Yeah. But man, does it feel good to watch a show with high stakes and real human drama. And what's even more impressive, I'm getting chills thinking about it. What's even more impressive about all this is that we know where it's going, and it does not take away the impact at all.
In fact, it adds to it. They found a way to make it, to enrich it.
Yeah, like I still get I remember watching like Andor fight somebody, and I was like, oh shit, is he gonna make? I was like, what's gonna happen? And I was like, what? He fucking made? Of course he does. But that's how good the show is. And so that's my top level opinion. We're gonna really dive into this. What's your top level opinion? We can kind of start going into some of the things, maybe some of the things that we thought maybe were lacking.
Yeah, absolutely. Top level opinion. This is the best Star Wars has ever been, and I'm afraid it will be the best Star Wars ever is. That's my toppest level. It is the best show I've ever watched in the Star Wars universe. It treats the property with so much love and respect. And so like it treats the property like we treated it as kids when we were playing Imagination in our bedroom with our action figures. Like it gives it that level of like, this is cool, this is interesting, this is deep. The amount of prescient topics this show is dealing with, or just the way it is commenting on maybe current events or even history, is so well done. I was reading that apparently Tony Gilroy, like one thing about him is that he's a huge history buff. Like that is a huge thing for him. And I think you can absolutely tell by how realistic some of these events play out that feel just like, we're just watching like what happened when Russia started taking over countries in Europe during the Cold War, when Germany invaded Poland. Like we're seeing these like other versions of what we've seen in history, or even things sometimes we're seeing now. And it's just, it's superb entertainment. There's not a wrong word. There's not a bad actor. There's not a bad shot. But then it elevates itself above that even more when its themes, it's like, this show is about rebellion. This show is about resistance, about fighting against something you'll never win against. You know what I mean? Like, and it feels so, it's heartbreaking, it's heart-wrenching, it's inspiring, You know what I mean? Like it's just it's kind of like season 1 was good, and like I think it was part of the reason it stood out so much because it was such a surprise how fucking good it was. No one expected the character of Andor to be a hot property. Rogue One came and went. A lot of us liked it, some didn't, but it was not like you watch that movie and you're like, oh yeah, I want the best show of all time to be centered around that Andor guy. Like no one calls that, you know what I mean? That's not the obvious decision. So it comes out, it blows us away, and then now it's elevating itself onto the Mount Rushmore of TV for me. I don't know exactly where it'll rank, but man, it's hard to, there's so much good to say about this show, and I really can't find anything bad to say about it. And that tells you something, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I agree largely with everything you said. I think there is this weird kind of dichotomy again of like what I want out of Star Wars and then what the show has given me. I think, I think I would prefer lightsabers and Sith and those kind of things, like the big adventure, blockbuster kind of stuff with more serious stakes and good writing and those things over
Sure.
this, but we're not getting that. And so whenever we're getting the acolyte, which is, like I think one of the worst atrocities for Star Wars. Particularly just kind of the way they wanted to tell their story and just how
And the
they just weren't.
mythology that they tried to tell. Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of things decisions they were making were not respecting what come before, and then also just that's what we did a whole bunch of podcasts on that.
Yeah.
So I think for me, Andor is interesting too in the fact that you know what's cool is like the first episode of season 2 is that you see 1 year later, and so it's like it's really designed. We're like this is not even season 2. This is just like season 1 and 2 is just a story.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like they're doing the same structure, like the 1 year later thing every pod.
Yeah.
And so the only thing I could complain about, at least the beginning of this will tie into some of the more positive stuff later, is that, we're kind of just getting snapshots
Mhm.
of these people's lives.
Mhm.
And the idea is these snapshots are really important character moments for these guys and kind of where it takes them a year later, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's kind of like, I don't know. It's like, man, I want to. Maybe it's not a criticism of the show, but it's criticism of just how they've done this. Or we know we're getting only 2 seasons. Is that I wish I saw the stuff in between too.
Mm.
Like I mean, I want to see the year gap. I want to see what Cassie was doing, all those kind of things. And I just wonder. It feels like it maybe also. What's his name? Diego Luna's. Like it
Mhm.
always kind of felt like he was resistant to like doing this really long term.
Mhm.
And maybe just even be Tony Scott's like, hey, let's just tell a shorter form story. But I just feel like we have a lot of gaps that we could have done. We could have had this show for 5 seasons
Sure.
and, and really kind of fleshed all these kind of things out. And so you kind of wonder why are we in this first batch? It's really just this first thing of episodes, these first three. Why are we with Cassian and, he shipwrecked with this like basically test ship.
Steals a TIE interceptor. Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically and which and then why are we
It
with
is a
these
deep cut as
guys?
well too. As a deep cut because like there's a whole like the whole the first I think Kyle Katarn game, which was I can't remember. It wasn't Jedi. It was before he was a Jedi. Dark Forces, I think. The whole plot of that game is you finding out about this secret new TIE fighter, this TIE interceptor that is like the Empire's new secret weapon or whatever. So it's a really fun deep cut to just things we are like. It's not about the TIE interceptor, but like the fact that it was a TIE interceptor and like that I liked it. It was really
I like the idea of like we're just seeing the kind of missions that Cassian is doing, and also just it feels more real. Like hey, there's this secret plane or we'll say secret plane, and it's like we got to get it so we can know like kind of you get an
feels very
advantage
Cold
over
War
them.
kind
Very
of
Cold
stuff.
War kind of stuff. Yeah, and that's all cool. You just kind of wonder sometimes what the I mean, I guess it's really just these first 3 episodes. Tell me
Sure.
really what the you think the arc in those is, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, if there is a weakness, maybe those first 3 don't feel quite as connected to the rest of them in
Mon
terms of
Mothma
stakes.
feels the more interesting.
Yeah,
section
the
here.
wedding stuff was good, and I think those first 3 episodes were just kind of building tension, building kind of establishing what is happening right now. Cassian's just kind of this rebel agent that is just sent on missions randomly to things he needs. Obviously, there was that one part with those like guys that were like really dysfunctional, arguing about everything, and there was times that it was funny, but it was a nice reveal that they were on Yavin at the end, like kind of like establishing they're coming back there. I think you're right in that they don't feel quite as purposeful or connected to the rest. It's that thing of, and I get it. I get wanting lightsabers. I want lightsabers too, and I get wanting the in between stuff. I get that too. Probably it's because this was like a $250 million budget just for season 2. This was more than the budget for Last Jedi for this season 2. That's why we're not getting 5.
Because the first one didn't really get that many views. Like it was more of an indie darling. It was more of a.
But I wonder if after the fact though, I wonder if it's been a show that's had a long tail just because
maybe
of word of mouth, because of
I know they put it on ABC because they were like,
wow.
hey, we want to put this on ABC so people can watch it like on cable. And I know that I think to me it's more of a, hey, let's lose money on this, but we'll get prestige from it, and like, we'll get some goodwill. I think it's what it was.
No, and they are. But yeah, all that to say is like I understand those critiques. I think for me, when what they are giving me is so, in my opinion, like kind of perfectly constructed storytelling, every time I'm getting it, it's hard for me to have. I'm like, I can't complain because, yeah, maybe if it was me in charge, I would have added this in or that out. But what you are giving me is like so flawless, so impactful. I'm so engaged. Even in those first 3 episodes, I couldn't look away. You know what I mean? And I think part of that is just the level of production, the level of acting, the fucking costumes in this show. I mean, it needs to win like production design awards. This show, the sets.
Every time we're on Coruscant,
are just
and you're like, oh yeah, that's some good costume design.
And like, just even all the wedding stuff, like the gowns.
Again, Mon Mothma was a shining beacon in this first. And really, I liked the 3rd episode. I thought the 3rd episode was like, okay, now once I hit the 3rd episode, I was like, all right, here we go. And I just started like binging. I started going.
Sure.
And again, this is a small critique, and it was just more of like an observation of we're telling these small moments in time, and we're kind of giving up these large gaps. And it's like, it's just more of it's an interesting structure. And I think that
it almost feels more like a history show. Like it almost feels more like a dramatization of history, like The Crown or like these other really big budget shows that, even The Crown, like every season is like a new queen, like they're jumping generations almost every season. Like it feels like, and I think again this ties back to who Tony Gilroy is. It feels like, yes, this is about Diego Luna, yes, this is about Mon Mothma, all these people, but this is just the story of the rebellion, and we're kind of getting a highly produced dramatized history of the events that led up to the original trilogy. You know what I mean? And I think
I will say
I like that.
Episodes 4 through 9, they were the most connected in terms of
absolutely, yeah.
You wouldn't even almost need the year gap. You know what I'm saying? Like it just kind of felt like it was just really flowing together versus season 1, where it's also a similar situation where I think we both said this, where it's kind of a slow ramp up.
Yes.
Like we kind of had to me, the very beginning of Andor is not all that super interesting. It's not really until we start getting into Luthen and into like in the very end of the tail end of like the creation of the Death Star,
the stuff with Andy Serkis. Yeah.
When you start getting into that, it's like, oh, this is really, it starts really kind of, and again, I guess it's part of the magic of it is it's paying off these slower built threads. But anyway, this is an observation in terms of it's just interesting. And right now, if someone said, would you want another season of Andor or a Star Wars movie, I'd probably at this moment pick an Andor.
Or what I would say is, I don't care whatever Tony Gilroy wants to do, give him the keys and let him do it.
Well, that's what I would say. That's something I want to talk about at the end of this. And then what I think should happen or needs to happen.
Yeah.
But real quick, I think I want to talk about I think that my favorite thing about this season is the idea of this conflict working around Gorman.
Oh man,
so and good. I didn't really, again, I consider myself a Star Wars aficionado, but I don't know everything. There's a lot out there, and I didn't really know about the Gorman massacre. And apparently, this is something they had to kind of deal with in canon. Like there's this, and even Mon Mothma, she gives a speech in Rebels, and that's why you have whenever they come back, they're like, "Where's Mon?" And she's like, "Oh, she's giving another speech." Like they're giving
Mm,
a second speech, and he's like, "Do you want to hear it?" He's like, I heard the first one."
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that. And so they actually, they
That
actually,
speech is the one that happens in Rebels.
yeah, exactly.
That's
And so
cool.
and I learned that yesterday. And so like, they're kind of dancing around some things like that, but I don't know everything.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think the way to kind of come in and give context to not only the rebel side, but then also the empire side,
yeah.
people who have been doing this for a long time, people who are like,
Yes,
you see their personal motivation in terms of they want career advancement, they also have a relationship, and just how all that unfolds and the tension
yes.
and like what the empire really wants. It's like it is the absolute smartest the empire has ever been in Star Wars.
Oh yeah, no, it's like this is the empire that we always
Thought
like
of.
the mustache twirly part, sure, but this is the Nazi regime, the true version of that in Empire, right? I mean, we're watching basically the Empire's KGB orchestrate like propaganda and a massacre in order to get resources. I mean, that sounds like Russia
It's
in the
it
Cold
sounds
War
great.
to a T.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah, it's
pretend we're
great.
not doing anything. Let's
Great as
build
in
this
story wise.
huge propaganda thing to pretend we're not, and then we don't even, we're just doing this because we need something. We don't give a shit about people that like it just is so it's handling the empire like in some ways I think they always should have been handled. Like I get we have the tropes of the stormtroopers that can't hit anything. You know what I mean? Like we have these kind of like, oh, they're just the dumb people, whatever. But like this level of sinisterness, this level of like institutional evil, really. Like the fact is like and the fact that even the people slightly down the rung from the top are still kind of being, even the people orchestrating this are still somewhat victims to what they're doing, and the people above them that are manipulating them. Like there was never I fully believe like in episode 8, which I think episode 8 is a fucking masterpiece, and like I think most people I think is right now the highest rated television episode, and I think it may be higher rated than
it's a true
Ozymandias.
testament to film. Really, it's a true testament to filmmaking in terms of just the chaos alone in the Gorman Massacre and like how they were showing you
Yes.
everyone's character arc and just how things. I'm getting chills again thinking about it. Everyone's character arc. You're just
When they
when
started
I think of that kind
singing,
of stuff. Oh, dude. Oh yeah. And it's
and
smart too because it's kind of like it's really like that moment's a de-escalation on the
yes,
rebel
yes,
side,
it's showing it's the
and
people saying, "Fine, we're gonna sing to you. We're not gonna fight you." And then
yeah,
and it's exactly what the Empire didn't want. So it makes
yeah,
their instigation of the massacre even more
yeah,
just blatant.
it's
You
so
know,
good,
and the
and
fact
even
and you
just
have that sniper and he's looking at the people, and then he goes and shoots a stormtrooper,
yeah,
and it was just
yeah,
like
well,
that's what you should have done. Like
yeah,
it's
it's
like
literally like the Empire playing truly playing 3D. It's not even like 3D chess. It's just
yes,
like this is what actual governments do. Like this is
yes,
what governments actually do. Like we just had with
yes,
Russia and even the United
yes.
States does the same shit too.
Yeah, in
And
Vietnam, absolute. Like,
oh,
yeah,
100%.
yes,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
my
absolutely.
uncle, sorry, internet.
Yeah,
My uncle is a sniper and he was watching American citizens go into these camps and do really horrible things to rally up the South Koreans.
yes,
And
yes. Sounds exact. Almost, it sounds like verbatim what the
yeah,
Empire's almost doing here.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And that way they come back in, they'd be so pissed off they want to go fight and kill the North
yes,
Koreans. Yeah,
yes,
that was a real thing. And
yes. Yeah,
yeah, anyway, so just like I want to talk about just one little character that I thought just, and I guess it's where he got the motto from, but even just the bellhop, or the guy checking him in from the hotel, it's like,
he
you don't,
stole every scene he was in.
it was so
and
good.
and partly we were noticing because I noticed in like the episode 7 I was like, dude, why? I was like, when he came back I was like, this bellhop, I feel like I'm always paying attention to him if he's in the scene. Like his
Yeah,
face feels like it is so heavy with like emotion. Like and then I realized I was like, his eyes are fucking huge. You
man,
need to
dude.
go back and look at a picture. And you're like, holy shit, he almost has anime eyes, and that's I think is why he
Oh
feels like
yeah,
he communicates so much, is because his eyes are just like,
huge. Okay,
like in a good, like, not, he doesn't look bug eyed. He looks just
sure.
like kind of like a cartoon character in like a cute way that just makes him like, I think he feels like he carries so much emotion with every look. He barely
Yeah.
says anything, and he feels like he's saying so much. You know what I mean?
Well, it's just so smart in terms of directing and the writing of like when Cassian comes back the second time. And it's like, I mean, I was like, oh, I guess he doesn't remember him. And I was like, but why
Yeah.
wouldn't he? And
Yeah.
then it's like at the very end of that conversation, he lets you know he
Yes.
does remember him. And it's like,
Yes.
oh,
Yes.
that is good writing and directing
Yes.
and
Yes.
acting right there. Because it's
Yes.
like a subtle thing. And you're like, oh,
Yes.
that's great.
Yes.
Anything. And it happens to
Yes.
be in Star Wars. I
Yeah.
think one thing it's also I tell Kimberly and I kind of tell her because I'm like, I wish she would just magically be like, I would like to watch Andor with you.
Right, right, right.
But I tell her I'm like, this is you would not really know it's Star Wars unless I told you it was Star Wars.
Right. You could
Like
just this could just be a new sci-fi universe,
yeah,
right? That
yeah.
someone's just came up with, and it's and I think again, I think that's just
Which is maybe a negative, but also it's
I don't not to me because I think then because what you're doing is you're focusing on just telling a good fucking story. What we want every time. Don't fan service me and give me a good story and then sprinkle in this nice little fan service just on the outside. Like it's not supposed to be the thing. It's supposed to be like the seasoning. So yeah, give me the TIE interceptor. That's the deep cut. I love this whole thing with the fact that we're filling in gaps that were already known within the lore. I love that. Like, like to me, this is how you should handle Star Wars, Marvel, anything that has this kind of legacy behind it, where it's so easy to cash in on fan service. It's so easy. You know what I mean? Like Obi-Wan Kenobi, the TV show was just a cash in on fan service. It was not a genuine attempt to tell a good story, at least for me. And so like, I think it's just like, this is how you do it. You just tell good fucking stories with really interesting characters, explore really interesting ideas. Like Mon Mothma's speech about truth and like misinformation was just like, can we record this and play it in our Senate? You know what I mean? Like, can we just play this as a video? And it just, it's just perfect. Like the fact that everything is coming together so perfectly and so it makes me worried that we'll never ever get Star Wars with this much thought and execution put into it. I want to be wrong. But it's like I didn't know Star Wars could be this good, and now I'm afraid it never will be again. In a way,
yeah, yeah. Well, I another thing that's interesting here is that George really, to my opinion, brought in the political aspect of
Absolutely.
Star Wars with the prequels, and at the time it was really like people hated it. Of course, we grew up
Yes.
on that, and I think that we were looking more at the fantastical. They came to appreciate the political part even later, and this is like the ultimate realization of that.
Yes.
And I think
Yes.
there's two things going on here. One is that it's so interesting that you see, and Rogue One did this too, but this is doing it it's just filling in so many more gaps and doing it
Yeah.
on a huge level just because of even just time wise.
Yeah.
But you really realize when Luke comes in, it's like this. Luke is like more of a final like flip of the switch.
He's just like the final match that lights this like bonfire that's been building.
Yeah, and it's like, and you don't
Yes.
get that, and you kind of get the impression, but the world's so like Star Wars is obviously galaxy, so it's like you just see Alderaan get blown up,
Yeah.
you see, then Yavin's fixing to be attacked, the Rebel Alliance base, and like you're just getting this big picture things, and Luke is just some guy who comes in and
Yeah.
like literally learns the Force in like a day or two, and then
blows
ends
up the Death Star.
blows up the Death Star,
Yeah.
and it's like, and he's like lauded as this hero and everything, and like as he should be, but it's
Yeah.
just amazing, kind of like.
Yes.
All the cogs in the machine that led to that moment.
Yes.
And the downside of that's incredible. The downside of that is you see how hard Mon Mothma, how hard Cassian Andor and Luthen and all these people are working to get Luke to that moment. They don't know
Yes.
it's going to be Luke. They
Yes.
don't know who's going to do it.
Yes.
They're hoping something happens. But then after Return of the Jedi, it's like Mon Mothma and Leia and
Yeah.
Luke and all them allow it to slip back to where it
Yeah,
was.
but we're just talking about Disney. That again.
I know,
I'm
but
choosing-
I know, but I
agree.
mean,
I agree.
I'm
It
telling you,
makes
this
that
is-
part even more disappointing. You're right. That's
it
unfortunate.
makes the sequels that much more disappointing because you're like,
all this work for nothing.
all this work for nothing, and then
Yeah.
now it's
Just to be in the same situation 30 years later or whatever.
to be in
Yeah.
the exact same situation, just called
Yeah.
something different.
Yeah.
And there's always a chance they could do a show like Andor that's set between whatever, and they're doing some things now with whatever. But it's just it just makes I don't know, it just makes the people in the original trilogy feel dumber. The
Yes.
people who survived, like Mon Mothma and all
Yes.
them.
It makes it feel like the events of the sequel trilogy were just like, what the? Did everyone just go to like incompetency school in between
In
everything?
30
You
years,
know?
they managed to do this again. And, you know,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
know
And I know it's not completely
Thrawn's coming.
different. Like there was the Republic, and then you're right. It's just it's horrible.
But
I
anyway,
do want.
I didn't want to like shit on the mood, but I just want
No,
to talk
it's.
about like these are the things I'm thinking about as I'm watching the
I
show.
think
I'm like,
that's even kind of tied into what I'm saying is like this is so good. I'm worried it'll never be good and ever this good again. It is just like this is so. You're right. It's that same thing that this is so good. It makes the shit look even shittier. You know what I mean?
does.
Like
It really does.
and I'm glad because Star Wars needed this because more people needed to realize how much shit they were pumping out. There was too many people apologizing for Obi-Wan and Leia running 4 seconds, you know, or like running like, you know,
Obi-Wan
barely at
is
all,
truly
and no one
disappointing
can
to me.
catch her because we're like, oh no, she's running away. Like we needed to realize how horribly executed and planned all that shit was, how much they fumbled it. Because again, you take characters no one really ever gave a fuck about, and you make the greatest show of all time in Star Wars versus you take one of the most beloved characters of the franchise and you do that. Like, like it just makes it be like, who the fuck
yeah.
was in charge of this? They need to be they need to be excommunicated from the industry. like this is beyond like a crime. This is like a spiritual sin. Like it really just feels that way.
Well, I like this idea. Well, wait, you see, also Revenge of the Sith had the biggest re-release ever for
I saw that. Yeah,
something like. I mean,
they
I don't know
re-released in theaters. I don't
the
know, something.
biggest, whatever, made $40 million, which is like it was knocking people
Not bad.
second and third. Yeah, it's like most movies would dream to have that. This movie's 20 years old now,
Yeah.
and or more, and so you know. You have Revenge of the Sith, and then you have Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you're looking at like the fight scenes and just the filmmaking, and you're like, we should be better at it at this point. We should be
Yes.
better.
Yes.
And like, why would you even take the time to make like I would
Yes.
I would pluck at David Zaslav. I'm like, look, just spend the $21 million and reshoot the fight scene or
Yes.
something. You know, like I'm not saying that would fix everything, but I'm saying like I wouldn't let some things go through if I knew it was going to destroy the properties.
No, I agree. No, that's depressing. Back to Andor. Because I want to talk about things that are good. I want to highlight one of my favorite things about these episodes, and I think this does tie into those first three, and it helps make those feel a little more important, is how much they're emphasizing the kind of ragtag guerrilla-ness of the rebels. They don't feel like organized. They do feel like a bunch of outlaws. They got pissed off and decided to just go do something about it. They don't, you know what I mean? I loved the moment with Saw Gerrera. And like at first you think these guys are like pirates. Like that was like when that first part, I'm like, oh, this must be like before he becomes a rebel. This is like him still being, because I think that was even in like he was kind of like an outlaw, kind of like just a kind of like a gang leader before he became a rebel, right? I think that's kind of his backstory.
Maybe, yeah.
And so
also love him.
I do, yeah. And so like you getting him,
he was
like,
great in Rogue One. And
yes, he is. He was
Popping
great
up
in
these places. The game.
He was in Star Wars. Most recent Jedi game.
Yeah, I said the game. Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. He was great in that. Or was that the first one? Either way.
He's in the first one.
Yeah. So it's this thing where you're like, oh, these guys are just pirates. They haven't become rebels yet. And then you're like, no, these are rebels. These guys are like desperate. They don't give they're willing to threaten people's lives to do what needs to be done. Like this, you know, and again,
well, it goes back to Andor's first scene ever in Rogue One.
That's what I was about to say. I go back. Yeah. I remember watching that scene and there kind of being this whiplash of like, whoa, we've never seen rebels just do this kind of shit. You know what I mean? Like just kill because it's the safer option, not because it's right. You know what I mean? And now that moment, I can't wait to watch Rogue One again because it will just feel like
so excited.
It'll feel it'll be like, of course that's what Andor would. I mean, fuck it, it's Andor. Look what all he's been through.
There's a slight mimicking. I'll get back to Saw Gerrera in a second. Whenever he's getting Mon Mothma out of the Senate, which is breathtaking. But when he's getting her out, and the guy is like the taxi guy, basically.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He's like, hey,
the driver?
and he says his name, like, hey, whatever, just doom, and shoots him. And it's like, Mon can't, Mon has like been this character who's been pulling strings and like
she's
funding
supportive,
things.
but she's still she's trying to support from within. She's trying to like.
I'm getting chills again. And it's like her seeing it for the first time and how fucking nightmarish war is.
Yes.
And he says, welcome to the rebellion. Dude, I got
chills.
Dude.
Dude, yeah, I know,
So
and I think
good.
again, this is what we wanted.
I got
We
chills,
wanted
man.
this world to feel more real, and this
Yeah,
is, and I think even Luthen, which he's been a bit more of a background character this
he
season,
has been.
but his
I'm
presence
waiting
is
for the
always
tragedy
felt,
there.
right? Like I mean, yeah, of course.
Everyone says Luthen like every 5 minutes,
Well,
and
and
you're like
every scene
he
he
feels
has is like
like
just this, like,
Palpatine. He feels like the Palpatine of the rebellion.
yes, even he's walking at. I love these giant cloaks and robes
Oh
he's
yeah.
always walking in that almost feel like a
I
Darth
love that
Jedi robe.
he's like I have to like dress dark and like no wig when I'm doing my
Yes.
spy shit. I do love that,
And then when he's like
like
in person, he's like got a
ah,
wig. He's so colorful. He's so flamboyant. But even, man, his acting,
dude, it's next level.
the scene when,
He might be the best written and best performed character in all Star Wars. I don't know.
when they're at the scene where they're trying to get the device out of the like exhibit,
Oh yeah,
that
the
part of the
blind
episode.
yeah,
But earlier when he's like being the Luthen everyone knows, like the flamboyant guy. I was watching him and I'm like, he looks like someone that is pretending to be happy. Like that acting, the ability to
when he
act
laughs
within
at
acting.
what's his name? What
Yes.
the bad guy when he laughs at his joke, I felt the
Yes.
same way.
It was just like you can see the front he's putting up. And like,
Yeah,
it's like that's fucking talent.
yeah,
You're inceptionally acting. You're acting as a character that's acting. And you need the audience to see that your eyes are not happy. Your eyes are dead inside compared to what you're presenting. And
yeah.
it's just like it's like a master class in just
Yeah,
performance and acting
dude,
and
he
like,
had one great line. He was talking. I can't remember who he was talking to, but I was like, I gotta fucking remember that. But it was so good. I can't. I have to look it up. But it was kind of like a play on his kind of last speech he did last season. But it was like this one little line. I need to look it up, and I really loved it. Yeah, I mean, and also I personally love the decision, and like this is again in episode three. When also what's this thing with Disney Plus and dance sequences like and they go viral. You know what I'm saying? Like we
what's
had
the dance sequence in
when
this one?
Disney Plus put an
Oh,
hour of Mon Mothma dancing on YouTube.
an
You know,
hour?
well they
They
did the
just had
same
like
thing with
extra footage of it, so they just
well no
put
they
it.
no they looped it. They did the same thing with Baron Zemo and Falcon Winter Soldier. Remember that? Oh, he's like
Oh
doing this
yeah,
dance.
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
they keep doing this. But anyway, whenever he kills the benefactor, it's like they still technically have never said he did it. He's just like
Yes.
what she say? She's like I can't remember his line. It was so good. He was
Yeah.
like,
Something about
I'm glad you don't have to think like that," or something like that.
yes, yeah, 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 yeah,
That's the
yeah.
idea. I'm glad
Basically,
you live in this bubble.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes, yes. It must, yeah, yeah. No, you're right,
It
absolutely.
must be nice. That's what it was. It
And I
must be
think too,
nice.
what it's showing too, is it's really backing up his speech in season one of who, like that speech. He told us exactly who he is and what he's going through.
Yeah, he's as
It
bad
is.
as the bad guy, but his intentions are pure.
He's
But,
he hates himself for what he has to do.
he hates it. Yeah,
That, and I think that is such an interesting
fighting for a
character.
sunrise I will never see.
Dude, I burn my decency to fight for a victory I'll never, like, yeah, I think I burn my decency to fight for a sunrise I'll never see. Like that is such like, just again, that's
Dude.
it's Shakespeare. Like
Yeah,
that is the closest
that's
thing to
real
Shakespeare
Yeah,
Star Wars has ever done. Like it is. I'm getting chills just remembering it.
yeah, dude.
But I think what's amazing is it feels like this season we're seeing that. Like we got a little bit of that in season one, but we were still kind of figuring out his character, right? And that scene was kind of a big reveal of like, okay, this guy's gives no fucks and is doing, he's willing to do anything to fight. And then this season you're seeing that really played out. Really, like, he doesn't care about Andor and his relationships. He's willing to like try to break up his spies' relationships so they're more effective. Like that's how willing he is to go to do whatever it has to do.
I was really
I think the
worried.
struggle between him and Andor, that has been, I love when Andor goes to Gorman first and is like, they're not ready. Like they're just going to get massacred. And he's like, good. That'll help. That'll be helpful.
They'll burn brightly.
Yes, they will. Yes, yes, yes. And it's like that
heartbreaking.
even, it's illustrating such, I think, a tragically beautiful reality of war. That even when you're on the good side, quote unquote, you have to sometimes do things that will basically damn your soul.
Yeah.
To fight for a brighter future that you'll never see, right? And I think we're seeing Andor accept that in a way through this season. He's resistant. He's not willing to go on missions that he feels like are just we can't save them. There's no, they're just going to die. And like, he's not willing to go to that level of sacrifice. He's like, I'm not willing to just let people die for this cause, like whatever. And then, he keeps trying to back out of it. He keeps being like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. It's killing me. Right. Like I don't have anything I want.
Yeah. What do you say? Like I don't think it was to Andor or somebody else. He's like, our inroad here is to be hanged.
Yes,
like,
yes.
He's like,
yeah,
I
think it was to Mothma. I think it was Mothma, maybe.
Maybe. It's like, that's where we're going. Like, that's the destination.
Yes.
I'm happily driving there.
Yes. Yeah. And I think, and then I think too, just the finale of episode 9, again, a way to, we already know what's coming. How do we make it hurt even more? How do we make the tragedy of Rogue One, the ending of that, feel even more gut wrenching? Let's do this with the girlfriend. And that speech of "I will find you after."
I will find you after. Which, this sort now. Hey, we can kind of talk about this too. So, I thought Luthen. I was like, is he going to die in these batch episodes? You know?
Yeah.
And so I think Luthen's. I think maybe for catharsis for us, and maybe even for catharsis for Luthen, is that his final moment is that he is dressed up like fake Luthen, and he gets to turn it off and look down the barrel of the gun and die. Reveal himself to even a minor soldier.
I kind of think he's going to do it to Krennic. It's going to involve Krennic, I think.
You think so? I mean, that feels like more epic finale. I wonder if it's more like tragic and like it's just like this menial soldier.
Oh man, like he's this like really important figure and he just dies kind of offhandedly.
Yeah,
I could see that.
But there's two ways you go. One kind of like, I can't think of his name, but he was like the Imperial guy we've been following the whole thing, where he just kind of dies. Yeah, I mean, he got his Andor moment where he's fighting, but which we didn't really.
Well, and he got his moment of like, even I think the tragedy, the tragedy of that is he's lowering his gun when he gets shot. He's realizing like, what am I even doing?
Yeah, I don't even know who you are. Yeah.
And realizing how like I think the tragedy of Cyril is halfway through that episode. You're like, wait, is Cyril going to become a rebel? Like, is this his arc that he starts this way?
He may have switched.
I do too. Maybe. I think he was going. At least he would have I think he would have at least left the Empire. But yeah, and I think
I was trying to remember. And can you remind me? I'm thinking in season 1. It's more like he's kind of like the Empire is kind of like, it's like your government.
It's corporate America. He treats it like a corporate job.
He's working in it. He's not really seeing all the evil stuff, but he's, okay.
But if you remember, he was the one that like noticed something that like identified like a rebel plot. They were stealing stuff from some base.
And from that perspective, it's like, oh, these are terrorists and I'm turning them in. And
yes, they're taking things that aren't theirs. They're right. Like it's just, it's very cut and dry, black and white. The Empire is the government and these rebels are terrorists. And why would, and I think, man, the moment that he like chokes Deidre was just like,
the way the camera angle, this show is fucking phenomenal. The camera angle, like how he shows her face to the camera and he's like talking to her sideways. I'm just like, it's so good.
And just like that moment for his character in some ways felt, like it was a surprise, like the fact that he was that incensed almost to be willing to do that to his superior, to someone that could have him killed for any reason she wanted. You know what I mean? Like he's not in the ISB. I mean, I guess he's like maybe a contractor, but she's like head lady in the ISB. And honestly too, I was so like her reaction was so like an interesting character turn for her. She seemed like the cold-blooded, we're doing whatever, but also like she's clearly getting fucked up by what she's doing. She's clearly not okay. She is barely hanging together. Like I love the conversations between her and her boss, where he's like, "You seem a bit animated."
Animated, yeah.
It was just like this beautiful, again, like this kind of like corporate, like you're showing too much emotion. Like just do your job. You know what I mean? Like and like, dude, like it's just like. It's perfect. Like, and again, I talk about like the tragedy of the characters that were involved in this. I mean, Cyril was a key part of orchestrating this entire thing, and her too. And for that to basically like, I think that scene happens after Cyril's dead, where she's like having a breakdown in one of the rooms, and it was so well acted too. It felt so real. Like it just is like, again, I feel like there's so many details we could just gush on forever within this show. I really do think episode 8 is like, it's up there with some, like, as far as a show depicting like a genocide or like a massacre of a sense we've seen in history many times. I can't, like, for it to feel so layered, for it to feel so complex, for it to feel like this tumbling of dominoes from both directions. Like it felt so real because it felt so, I think complex is maybe the best word. It felt like the events that are going on are all stacking on top of each other in like the worst way, And like, this is the consequences of it. And it's just, man, it almost feels Shakespearean too, in like a depiction of tragedy, like how it depicts a tragedy like this. It's maybe the best it's ever been done on like movie screens, TV screen. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't know if I've ever watched something like that where you can, in this weird way, feel for some of the bad guys that are caught in the system of doing this and realizing that they said yes to things that they didn't really think about what it meant, that they didn't really think through what they would actually be doing and what it might do to them to be these kind of people. Right. It's just, yeah, I can't heap enough praise on it is how I feel.
Well, we're going into these next final batch of episodes, the series finale. And, at the very end of this last episode 9, I think we get K2SO.
Yeah. And it was a very nice way to give us a little bit of optimism after that heartbreaking speech from the girlfriend. Like, it's just like, you're just being ripped apart because you know what's going to happen.
Well, what's so good about this show, I'm going to say, was that season 1, I was kind of like, oh man, I was like, you hear about Andor, I'm like, oh yeah, K2SO, he's awesome from Rogue One. Can't wait to see him. He's not in season 1 at all, and I was kind of disappointed.
Yeah. And
then season 2, I forgot he existed until he popped up again. And I was like, oh, that's how good season 2 is. I don't even care about K2SO not being
when they put the civilians in the room with them, that's when I was like, oh shit, this is how it happens. Yeah, this is how we get K2SO, was my exact thought. But no,
a great dynamic, and
it will be really useful, I think, for a little comic relief, and I think will be 3 incredibly tragic episodes. I think the last 3 episodes are going to be, if we've already been punched in the gut, they're just going to punch us 10 more times in the gut.
Kind of. I don't know. I think it might be a blend, because, I mean, you got to really think about. I mean, the only person that's going to die is going to be Luthen, and the girl,
and the other rebel. I think Luthen's secretary might die too with him.
Definitely.
I think that other rebel girl that was helping them from Game of Thrones, that was like the one that actually helped Gore pull off the attack, her girlfriend died.
Yeah.
I think she'll die.
She'll definitely die.
Yeah. Like the characters we like. I mean, I could even see his girlfriend dying, like in a crazy.
Well, that's the thing. I was going to ask you. So it's either we might not see her again these last 3 episodes, except they kind of told us before season 1 even started. Like, they said the last frame of season 2, it will be Cassian stepping off the conveyor origin or so, whatever it is, or getting into the thing.
Basically, it'll lead directly into the first shot of
it. Will just exactly. And so, or Cassian's moment. And so I wonder if it's still that, or if we'll see him step off and we'll cut to a year later, and she'll be like at his grave or something. Like, I wonder if it will
jump ahead. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think
either.
so. I don't think so. I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
I kind of don't want him to. I
don't think we'll see, because she says when it's all over, I'll see you again.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll see them together again.
No. I think yes. I think exactly. I think
that's more tragic if we don't see the gravestone, whatever. I'm just saying, I wonder if they're still going to do that ending they told us.
I think so. I personally think so. Just even the fact that we're jumping a year every time, it just feels like they were shooting for this year. It has to end at this year or whatever. Like, and we're like, this last 3 was BBY2, and the next one was BBY1, and then the Death Star blows up in BBY0. Like that, it's like the birth of Christ for the Star Wars universe. They start counting up instead of counting down after the destruction of the Death Star.
Well, it's counting
down. This is BBY2. Next
No,
one's
I
going to
know.
be BBY1. And so it's like BC. Like it count
Oh,
in history, it
so
counts
no,
down to
yeah,
BC
I
and then
get,
it starts
no, I
going
get
up.
that. No, I know that. I'm just saying, I wonder, so are we gonna, is the last three episodes, is that a year before Rogue One? And then we're just gonna
I
probably
think
jump to
I
like
think
the last
I
scene will
think
be,
Rogue One happens a year before the Death Star. I don't
really?
or a
No,
significant.
it's impossible because whenever they eject from the Princess Leia's ship ejects after Darth
Oh
Vader does his
yeah.
hallway, and they have R2D2 has the plans.
Yeah, you're
So,
right. Okay.
so
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. I wonder if we'll have, you know, the year leading up to Rogue One, and then a
Well,
final scene
how
a
do
year
they date
later.
it? Like, is it literally the day the Death Star blew up? That's zero. So
I
technically,
assume.
every day before that still BBY1,
I don't
right?
know. I don't know
Like,
that.
so I mean,
I mean,
technically, I think Rogue
maybe.
One still happens in BBY1 because it's before the Death Star blows up. Technically, the
Okay.
first
Okay.
most of A New Hope occurs in BBY1 until the
Okay.
Death Star
Okay.
blows
And,
up.
yeah, if that's it, then yeah, that's correct. Okay. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So I assumed we were going to just see the basically the last, basically this next three episodes is like basically the next three episodes or the 3 days before Rogue One is what I assume what we're going to see. Something
Yes.
like
Let's
that.
see.
I mean, that makes sense. I just I didn't really care so much about that. I was just more wondering what's the last frame we're going to see. Is it truly
Sure.
going to be
Yeah.
Andor walking onto the jet or whatever it is? I can't remember. But I will say again, I'm so happy to watch Rogue One immediately after this. It's like I get to watch Andor again for a
I know.
second.
I know. Catherine and I have said the same thing, and I think again, like Rogue One was already my favorite Disney Star Wars,
It's the
easily
best.
by far.
Even if it's not your favorite, it's the best.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And for this show to like, I feel like it's just gonna make me love that movie even more
It's
to
gonna be
like a
so
degree I don't even know. I
tragic.
don't even know. It may make it could make it like my favorite Star Wars movie ever. To potentially, I don't know. Like it feels like I don't know if I've ever been given this much rich context for any of the movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I always felt this way whenever, and we can talk about this probably our next episode we do this on, because our next Andor episode will be the last episodes and talking about Rogue One. That will be
Okay,
our
okay, yeah, yeah.
episode. So and I'm just a little preface that I'm curious to see how I feel when Andor hugs Jen before the explosion,
I can't. Do they
because
kiss? I can't remember.
no, they don't kiss. They just like
Okay.
hug, and like and it felt like
I think there
even
was
then.
a kiss in one of the endings, and they rewrote it. I
Oh,
think at
that's
one point.
stupid. Yeah, well, it's even then though in the theatrical version, it's like they're just hugging because that's the only person they have there, not because they
And
have
like,
any romantic
yes,
interest. And it's going to feel even different now that we know about his girlfriend and
yes,
all these kind of things
yes,
that just
yes.
like it truly is like just two people like, well, hey, you're the one I'm doing it with. Or you're the one I'm ending
Yeah,
it with.
yeah, 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 no, yeah. And then even just all
Just
the endings for all the characters, you know, like the whole like I still remember the guy. I can't remember is it Donnie Yen that plays the I'm the Force and the Force
the
is
force is
I'm
with me. Yeah.
is that him? Is that who played that role?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
great. Yeah.
He was one of my favorite characters. I
He was
loved
great.
him, and
Yeah.
like again, and I too I like in Andor we got the Force healer lady. We're getting these people that are
It was
mystic
interesting.
that have Force connection, but they're not Jedi. You know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
not trained. They're just they're Force sensitive. It seems.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just yeah. So I mean yeah. I'm very excited for these last three episodes. It'll be hard not to watch it all in one night, just because I
Oh,
think it's going to be
dude, I'm getting a
that.
Mountain Dew and I'm getting candy and I'm watching all three of them
Dude, yeah.
as
I
soon
mean,
as they drop Tuesday.
it's
Like
hard
I'm
for us
doing
because
that.
we like can't start watching till Reese goes to bed, which is like 8. Like we're not getting out of that till like 8:30. So like
That's
to watch all
same.
three, it'll be like almost midnight, and that's hard for Kat with her job.
It will be late night for me. And what's interesting for that you don't know this, but I've watched every episode of Andor season 2 in my VR headset. So I've been in a movie theater,
Oh wow,
laying in my
that's
bed,
fun.
like
That's
watching
really fun.
Andor. Yeah, so I've been having a good time. And like I have Rogue One already primed in
Oh
3D
yeah. Oh
with my
cool,
headset. It's like to
cool.
watch it. So
Yeah.
I haven't been this stoked about Star Wars since
So it's probably the
Mandalorian
Force
season 1.
Awakens.
Well, since Mandalorian, probably. Yeah, I mean, Force Awakens too. Yeah, I mean, I was stoked for
I
that
love,
and
but
stoked
to
for
me, I
Last
love
Jedi.
the Mandalorian, but it pales in the emotional impact category.
No,
You know what I mean?
there's no question. Yeah, I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Mandalorian for the mystery box
The
and just kind of
action, the
and the
set pieces,
coolness.
the
Yeah, yeah,
westernness of it all.
yeah,
Yes.
and kind of seeing where things go. I do want to. The last thing I want to talk about
Yeah.
here, and we can start wrapping up, is that to me, um, best case scenario. This is best case scenario. This is what I
Mm-hmm.
want. Is also what Star Wars needs.
Mm-hmm.
I would like Tony Gilroy. If they just need to, hey, give him the man a blank check. Like here's your
Yes.
money. You tell us what you want to be make for
Yes.
this, and then we'll give you the budget for whatever project. But I
Yes.
think the project I want, either I want him to do Star Wars that's not in any time period of what we've been given.
Jump ahead 1,000 years.
Jump ahead 5,000 years.
Sure.
I don't care.
I want everyone to be
Either-
dead, even Grogu. I don't want Grogu to be alive either.
I want everything to be gone. And I want you to either not say necessarily do the movies, but I want you to do the TV. I think I do like the idea, and you tell me if you like this or not.
Yeah.
Of like the three movies being more of the Jedi and the Sith, the big picture, good versus evil, and then you have this TV show that fills in the gaps of the political war part of it.
Sure.
That tells you like the, you know what I'm saying, like that kind of gives more of the what the bad guys
Yeah.
are doing, the good guys are doing, but on the
Yeah.
street level. Like to me, having that and then having Gilroy involved, like overseeing the three movies, but like maybe not writing all of them, but kind of like a showrunner for this new universe. That to me, that's what I would like to see. A perfectly balanced Star Wars thing.
I think I
TV
would like
and movie working together.
Filoni and Gilroy to become the James Gunn / the other guy of Star Wars compared to the DC. Like that's what I want. And really kind of they aren't exactly analogous because they're both kind of on the creative side versus like James Gunn's like the creative and the other guy's just kind of like executive, like making shit happen at that level. But that's what I want. I want Gilroy's attention to detail, production value,
I want Gilroy's writing.
direction, and then writing. But I want the mysticism, the grandiose nature that Filoni can bring, and kind of the romantic Jedi spiritual stuff. I want that with this level of care, attention, and budget put into it. That's my ultimate. And them being in charge of everything Star Wars does forever now. Like they get if they don't like it, it's dead. You know what I'm saying? Like they have the ability to kill anything.
Well, I want Tony and his team to do all the TV stuff, but I want Favreau to direct the big movies. And I want
as long as he's
Tony,
not writing, that's fine.
No, you don't even writing. And again, he hasn't written all the like. He did some good stuff, and then he has stumbled along the way.
I think he is a fine like Hollywood writer. He can write you a nice classical Hollywood script that kind of paints by the numbers to a degree, but paints them well and does them right. You know what I mean? Like he's just not going to surprise you. I don't think he's going to do something that is like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? He's just going to do it at the level that's good, but maybe not as interesting as it should be. You know what I'm saying? And I do like. I think he has a clear. I mean, he seems to be a good director on that kind of like managing a movie, like being the person that's making sure all the shit's happening. And maybe he just needs to be the producer. Maybe he needs to be the EP. But all that to say is, I do think you might need some of that. Like he seems to be the more practical of them all, versus they're the more like, let's go for the biggest, coolest idea, even if it costs $1 bajillion kind of thing. And again, I mean, the fact that this season 2 had a higher budget than the Last Jedi.
That's really surprising to me, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's it's essentially like four.
It makes sense,
smaller
right?
movies.
I mean, the level of act. I mean,
Well,
again, it's like
practically.
I was telling Catherine.
I mean, there's not all practical, of course. They don't shoot on Coruscant, but it's a lot of practical,
and it feels so much better for it.
And here's the thing too, that I heard this recently, and I think he might have been talking about, it was Andor, Tony Gilroy talking about this, but he said that, and I never thought of it this way, I think, and this concise talking about the volume. He said you have to work backwards, like you have to build the sets and then construct things backwards to get to the shot, versus you're on location and then you're constructing your shots around the location. So you're building backwards with the volume. And it does really constrict you in terms of finding things in the moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, what can you find? You know exactly how it's going to be. It's almost like, sometimes the imperfections of a location can lead to the coolest ideas.
Yeah.
Well, we thought we were going to do the shot, but actually the shadow is hitting this thing and it's just not working. And so what else? Oh, holy shit. Never thought about this. You know, like you can't do that in the volume. It's
And
exactly
it's amazing how we were
controlled.
praising the volume. We were the exact opposite when Mando season 1. We were like, this is the best thing to happen to Star. You know, we were just like,
Sure.
I think we were really praising it. And I think we've seen a lot of volume since then and used in the wrong ways.
Over reliance on it, yeah. But I think, you know, speaking to the budget, I think you can just tell by how like there's no part in the show where they just let someone's cousin that's an actor play it because they were connected. Like everyone is
There's no Jack Black's not in Andor season 2.
Oh my god, and
Or
Lizzo.
Lizzo.
Yes. Oh my god. I completely blocked that happened out. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Or fucking what's his name?
But I was thinking like
Kamala Johnny or whatever, or you know what I'm saying, like he's the
Kamal
guy in
Nanjiani,
Obi-Wan.
oh my god, oh my god.
Then Johnny. Yeah, and it's like,
But I think with this, it's like every character that they cast feels like a seasoned, like
yeah.
the
theater
guy that's the
actor or
political
something.
leader on Gore. Oh my god, what a performance! The guy that's kind of orchestrating it and like is the one thing run away. It's a trap at the end. Like,
Yeah.
what a fucking like. I just like I was like I want to see him in more shit. He looks.
Oh yeah.
He has such a good look and has so much gravitas.
Part of it is casting people who are not necessarily pretty people.
Sure. Yes.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Interesting face. That's another thing. This show isn't filled with superstars. Like that's like
No.
I think even like one example like the 3 Body Problem on Netflix. Have you watched that? It's pretty
I watched the
interesting.
first 2 episodes.
It's interesting and it's good, but then you realize that like the main character is like supposed to be like an incredibly good scientist, and she looks like a model. And it just kind of you're like, and no one else does. Everyone else kind of looks normal, and then you're just like, oh, this girl is just like has a perfectly symmetrical
that
face,
stuff
and it
makes a
kind of throws you
difference.
out. It kind of is like,
Yeah.
I don't believe that she has 3 PhDs or whatever they're telling me
Yeah.
she does. You know,
One thing Disney has done good in this area, at least, and Andor does it in spades,
yes.
is that every time they pick an Empire like
Oh my
officer,
gosh,
the person they pick is almost always 100%
look.
correct.
even
It's
the
like
look
they-
of the girl that was the ISB plant. That
Plant.
tries to kill like in the when he's getting Mon Mothma, she's with
Oh, yeah.
with what's his name, and she like her look just looked like an Imperial, like
Yeah.
like
Oh, yeah.
kind of this very like sharp jawline, very like and even Deidre, I mean her.
Yeah, she's the best example, and I'm not trying to be mean, but she's not like I would say a model attractiveness.
No,
You
and
know
to
what
be
I'm
fair,
saying?
they're trying to accentuate the imperfections in this kind of
I
show.
think
I'm
they're trying
sure
to
with
accentuate
different
her
makeup
some-
and costume, she
Yeah.
would look a lot different.
Well, there was a moment where she actually smiled with her teeth, and I was like, "You're kind of pretty right here."
Yeah.
And you
yeah.
know, and it's just acting, right? The acting
Yes.
is really doing it on the face, but you can tell they're probably accentuating the like under the eyes and these
Yes,
kind
the
of things.
gaunt, yeah, the
Yeah, and
sunkenness.
so like, but they just do like the guy who's basically her boss, and then also
Yes.
the guy who was overseeing the Gorman massacre.
like the one that was
or
yes,
the guy who was overseeing the Senate, like trying to get back into the Senate.
yes.
the
He was
controlling
another
guy.
another Game of Thrones guy. There's
Yeah,
a lot
so
of Game of Thrones actors.
They
in this.
just feel like again they're just real people, and
yes.
I don't know, it's just different. It's just different.
I loved and just because I think
Versus the acolyte, where you're like the main girl is like, oh,
a young adult character from a novel.
a very she's very pretty. The main girl in the acolyte.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And she's like, it just doesn't look like a real like it just. I
Yes,
don't
it doesn't feel
I don't
it doesn't feel realist. I think
Adam Driver, he's not. I don't think
I
an
love
attractive
his
man.
face, man.
I don't think he's attractive. I love that man's face.
Oh my god,
Like
yes.
he's an amazing actor because he feels like a
Yes.
real person.
Yes,
you know?
I agree completely, which gives me hope for my acting career. But I just wanted to highlight one more thing was the actor that plays the guy that is like the kind of the rebel general or whatever that like gets on to Andor for leaving.
Was he in Rogue One? I think he was.
He may be, I don't remember.
Yeah, I think he's
but
one of
again,
those.
his face just looks again like that perfect. He looks like a British general,
Yeah,
or something
yeah,
like a
British people do
airman.
have the best actors. What is it? What's going
It's
on?
because they all start with Shakespeare. That's why, because
Yeah,
you can't
must
become
be.
an actor in England without going into Shakespeare heavily.
Yeah,
And so
has to
that I think honestly that's it. They all start in theater. But again just one more moment of the show I loved was that he's getting on to him as he's leaving, and then when Andor comes back, he's realizing like because he was like, you can't just leave whenever you want, and then he comes back and realizes like Andor just saved the fucking rebellion. Like and it's just kind of this, and he's just kind of like, I can't, like he's kind of embarrassed or like foot and mouth, and he's like, oh, by the way, there's like a dead super battle droid in there, and he's like, what? Like it was just such a fun moment of like, you know, he's trying to like be in charge and be order, and then he was trying to stop the man that saved all of their asses. You know what I mean? And like, and I think also just elevate. Like I love, like I always thought Andor was cool, but he's like the best spy that's ever been in the rebellion. Like he is
no question.
The most capable, the most like I love his whole like pretending to be a fashion designer. He was so good at that.
I even love their conversation back when they were at the I'm gonna call it the Coruscant Den, and then she's like teasing him about it. It's like I like this, like their romance is so good about being the fashion designer, and he was like, "Oh, I
want to meet him sometime or whatever." Yeah, you should bring him down sometime. Yes, and so like it's just like it's made like
it makes me want to go back and watch season 1 and like how was Cassian in the beginning,
actually,
and then where he is now. Yeah,
but and I think too, just like it's like you know, it used to be like in Star Wars, like, well, if you want someone to get something done, you probably call Han Solo, right? Like he's just, but now it's like, no, if you want something done, it's Andor. Like he is the best. He can do anything. Like it's just like he is the best.
I also loved when he was in the graphic designer in the coffee shop. Yes. When he's talking to the Gorman rebel lady, we'll call her, and he's like basically he baits her into telling him information. He's like, "You're a fucking idiot!" Like it's like immediately,
and then I love the like, "Hey, have your people stop following me. It's strong attention." Like it was just like, it was just that good. Kind of like, just like this guy he's the guy. This is the guy. This is Tom Cruise's character from Mission Impossible. This is, you know, I mean, this is Ethan Hunt in Star Wars, right? Yeah. Like that is what it is. And like, I just.
Well, the great thing too about in the parable there, Ethan Hunt and Andor, is that Ethan Hunt is constantly like failing, like in the moment. Sure. He's like, you know, something will slip. Versus like a Dwayne
He's having
Johnson.
An ad-lib constantly. Right.
Yeah, like where The Rock, it's like I can't get punched too many times. My movie is part of my contract. Right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
surely he's voided that for this new movie he's in because he actually looks good in it.
Sure, but that's like that's the idea, right? Like I have to fight more, whatever. But like a good hero is like an Indiana Jones or an Ethan Hunt or an Andor when they're getting fucking beat up and they're dropping shit and they're. You know what I'm saying? Like they're failing in the moment, and they end up getting it,
and
they
find a way to do it still. Yes,
yeah. And you know, a lot of it is all three of them, and they've said it in all their movies and this even too. They have the power of luck, but luck is interesting.
And Andor says that exactly.
Exactly.
This is the only difference between me and anybody else is luck.
Yeah,
and it's running out.
And it's not. I mean, it is. It's not. It's not, but it's not. It's both.
It is, but it also is that like he says it. It's I feel like it's running out.
Yeah,
and you're like it is running. Like like there's those moments where like knowing what comes is actually enriching it, and that's so hard.
It's like we talk about all the time on this show is like
how bad
when I hear it, I'm like ugh. You know,
but because I don't care. Like I hate what happened, but like this is making it. Again, the writing, just Tony Gilroy just deserves like every award he can get for the show because to have the deck stacked against you, to have it seemingly a nothing character, a prequel show, and we already know what happens, so we all roll our eyes and are less invested. To have that be the most invested I've ever been in Star Wars characters, the most connected I've felt to Star Wars characters, the most realistic and grounded and interesting Star Wars has ever felt as a world. Fuck. Like that's just, it almost feels like a miracle that we got this show the way we did. You know what I mean? Like, especially when you look at, again, all of the positive factors Disney had with all these, like all of the goodwill they had before, all of the clean slates, all of the like, budget and resources they had to do Obi-Wan Kenobi well, to do the sequel trilogy well. Like they had everything going for them and they fucked it up so bad that they like almost destroyed a fan base or like splintered it into like tiny little factions where it just feels like Star Wars fans, there's not a universal voice in Star Wars fans anymore. Like there's just
all tribal, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Just like real life. But
and so again, it's like the fact that they had every reason to nail it. And they fucked it up so bad, it made people not like the IP. And then this show had every reason to fail, every reason to not be interesting, every reason to just come and go. And it's the best thing that Star Wars has ever done. I think that's just like the contrast to me between those scenarios. It's like, it's damning. It's damning of Disney. It is just like, this is the nail in the coffin of like, how do you, realize how badly you fucked this up. Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, and add to that statement is that Andor, I think, in my opinion, is so much harder to make
that's what I'm saying.
than the
Yes.
sequel trilogy. Like the sequel trilogy,
Yes.
it's like, oh, I get. I mean, the toys I have to play with are Han, Luke, and Leia,
Yes.
and like whatever bag I can think of. That's what I get to start with.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yes.
Easy. I could write all
Yes.
three of those movies in a month. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
it'd be no
Yes.
problem because it's like
Yes.
it's easy.
Just tell a story that happens over 3 movies instead of giving it to random people that have
that's-
totally different ideas about what Star
That's
Wars
step
is.
one. That's step one. But then step two is I have a scene where Han, Luke, and Leia together. You know,
Like, no, I agree. I mean,
step three.
yes,
You know,
absolutely, absolutely.
you know what I mean? It's like I just
Yes.
start kind of step three. I don't make another Death Star and blow it up. Step four.
It's almost like it's almost like that. Like when you take a test at school and you forgot to put your name on the paper.
Yeah,
and it's like
exactly
that
like
level
that.
of like this is just supposed to be like everyone knows this. This is not everyone puts their name on their homework or you don't get credit. Like it's like everyone knows you don't just hand 3 movies to 3 different people and have no like. Anyway, I mean like I just all that to say is like. It's the double-edged sword of Andor. It's the best thing I've ever seen, and it makes everything in the past like seems from Disney just seem like a complete half-assed effort. Like
I was thinking
just phoning it in. Honestly,
if you want like a really good Star Wars experience, and I think we can add in Andor and Rogue One into the official canon. Like to me, the canon is George. It's 1 through 6,
Sure.
and maybe Clone Wars, and maybe whatever.
Sure.
But it's really 1 through 6. I think if you want a perfect Star Wars experience,
Yeah.
you watch 1, 2, 3, Andor 1, 2, Rogue One, 4, 5, 6. If you do that, what a perfect story!
Yeah.
What a great story!
Yeah. No. Yeah. A story of
All the
rebellion and
characters.
redemption. I mean, like, yeah.
What an amazing Star Wars story.
Yeah.
And you can, what, and we have the ability, Daniel, to actually think of it like that if we want to. It's really hard to pretend the others don't exist because to me, it's like once it's made, it becomes canon, in my brain.
I know.
But maybe there's some light. We have another Star Wars movie that's going to be shot at the end of the fall with
One's
Sean
already
Levy
been,
and Ryan.
one's
Ryan
almost
Gosling.
done, right? With the Baby Grogu one.
Yeah, I think it's next year, but maybe this fall it comes out. I don't remember. But we have,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't expect even Starfighter. I don't know. I don't expect. It to be
the Ryan Gosling one.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm hopeful.
Adam Project didn't impress me. I do love Real Steel. I like Free Guy. I like Deadpool Wolverine, but I just wonder, the Adam Project kind of bummed me out, and I don't know. I'm nervous. I'm always nervous now. I'm nervous.
I know.
Even
I know.
Marvel, I'm nervous.
I know.
Anyway, how can listeners write into us, Daniel?
Listeners, you can write into bit.ly/241mail, and there you can tell us how right we are about Andor. That's all I want to hear. How right we are. If you disagree, I don't know what to tell you, but maybe go get your eyes, ears, and heart checked all the same day. But yeah, let us know what your thoughts of Andor. I feel like there's so many beautiful, rich moments that we just couldn't cover because we can't have a 5-hour podcast. Like there were so many cool things in these last 9 episodes that we just can't get to. So let us know, is there anything we missed? Is there anything that you really loved that we didn't highlight today about Andor season 2? bit.ly/241mail.
We'll say it's nice being positive about Star Wars.
Yes.
It feels good. Feels good. And I'm looking forward to talking about Thunderbolts with you soon. It feels
good to my child soul, right? It's like this is how I used to feel about Star Wars. And I know you're a kid and so your perspective of reality is so limited and so basic compared to, but this again is this was written for the kids that grew up playing Star Wars in the room 10 hours a day. This was the show that aged up with them. You know what I mean? And I think this is Star Wars for adults. That's what it is. It's Star Wars for big boys with big boy pants on. It's not Star Wars for simple reductionary, themes. This is complex. This is layered. This is just, it's at the end of the day, it's just good fucking storytelling. It's just good storytelling. And like you said, you take the Star Wars label off this, you throw in generic stuff instead of the specifically named stuff. It's still one of the best shows that I've seen. Like
Yeah.
and I think, yeah, I can't say it enough. It's a good show.
You can always find it in the comment section below, youtube.com/@241 Studios. Again, it's the best place to consume all the content. Daniel, that's 240. And our next episode, we finally fulfill our destiny. Episode 241, podcast 241, as they say. And so,
It'd be really funny if we found a way to like use the like, whoa, podcast 241 is evolving, like on the Pokemon games where it cuts and we just do the little flash frame.
yeah,
Like,
it'd be great.
That'd be a good just piece of content to put out. Maybe not the official announcement, but using that as just like a little.
What's amazing is no one will know what we're talking about. They're like, what's podcast 241? They have no idea.
Like-
But listeners, next week is our episode 241 with Dr. Bruce Hutchison, where we talk about arguably the best movie ever made. That's very arguably. But we're talking about Back to the Future. We're breaking it down from a script analysis level. It's a fantastic episode. I had a great time recording it. And Daniel, I mean, like as far as I'm concerned, I mean, technically we lost one episode along the way, but it never released out into the masses.
Here's the thing. I think we need to redo it at some point. I think we're far enough away that I think the sting is out of it a little bit. I think we should redo The Dark Knight Rises at some point as like
maybe we do it when we find out the Batman Part 2 is canceled.
Honestly, I just want to do it because I want everyone to realize how wrong y'all are about some of the speeches in that and how cheesy and bad they are.
That's fine. Yeah, and hey, spoiler alert, it's Dr. Bruce Hutchison's favorite moment of the three.
Oh man!
I'm like, Doc Bruce, no, we lost you.
Why? Again, like honestly, I need to have that conversation with him again because I can't remember why. But I just remember he's wrong. That's all I remember. Yeah.
I do like the movie, but yeah, he's wrong. I just want to say now we've officially, when this airs, we will have done over 241 episodes together. So we did it.
Yeah.
We did it, man. And
we did.
I don't know. I mean, like I kind of always, I never thought about quitting really ever, but definitely, there was always like a part of like, will we get there?
Yeah.
Will we get 241? That's like a 5-year commitment,
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're 5.5 years in, and so I'm now, to me 250 is like a benchmark. And then once we hit 250, if the universe, not universe, but like if something stopped us, if we hit 250, I'd be like,
that's only like 9 more, right?
I know, but it feels good saying like, oh, we did over 250 episodes. That's like a lot.
Yeah.
Once you get past 250, it's kind of like 300, 350. They kind of start feeling the same.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Until you get to like 500. 500 would feel like a giant one again, probably. Yeah.
It'd be huge. Yeah. Anyway, looking forward to the next 241 episodes. And everyone, check out next week's episode, and we'll see you after that. My name is Donovan Thompson.
I'm Daniel Wingfield.
And we have spoken.
Okay, that should be fine. Yeah.